welcome to another episode of Muscles and Malpractice, your weekly dose of fitness, health, and everything in between. I'm one of your hosts, Andrew Bustos.
And I'm the other cooler, more awesome host, Dr. Martin.
Just awesome. You are pretty cool. You are a cool guy.
But we
I'm
got to
not
get
gonna.
rid of this freaking looping media here.
I
Let's
love
put
the
it
loop
out.
of
There we
media.
go.
It just shows our
Dude, I
faces
love
smiling.
that. I know, man. I actually really do love that. That's the biggest. You're supposed to be so good with like media and stuff, and that's been
I'm
your whole
not.
thing so far. I
No,
need more
no.
media out of you.
You know what? You know what you need to do. I'm teaching you
What?
because
Oh,
one
you're
day
teaching a man to fish.
I'm teaching. What is it? Take a man to the
Take a man to the fish market
fishing market and have them pick out their fish
and make them
and make them eat it.
teach them to fish by telling them, here's a rod, figure it the F out.
Figure it out. No, you're doing great. I think it's good. I love that we're learning this as we go because we're busy, but we're still bringing some really great content, and I think we're just delivering what we do, like delivering babies that you do.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's done every 7 to 8 days, right? Like my wife tonight, just like the last few days, she's been continually harping on this idea of like, I really like it when you guys record at night, and like on Mondays is really good for me. And I'm like, okay, like it just happens to be when we can record and do this. Sometimes it'll be Sunday and sometimes it'll be Monday. And she's like, okay, you need to be quiet now. I don't want to, I need to stop talking. And I'm like, okay, all right, whatever.
I guess they like it. I guess they like Monday nights. I don't know. Is it like what's the deal with Monday versus Sunday?
Well, I think she thinks like Sunday is like kind of in the middle of our afternoon and like she has to keep Sam quiet. And I'm like, it just like, I think, yeah, she was like, well, the last 2 Sundays haven't worked for you. And I'm like, well, that's because things do come up and our commitment is to do this once every like 7-ish days. That is the best. 2 very busy, 2 very family-oriented men who are actually pretty dang busy even in their jobs, whatever else they do outside of that. Like we're highly
Busy.
motivated people, man.
Biz.
We preach positive, we think positive, we talk positive, we move. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion, and so we just got to find a way to kind of find that window of time. I know for our future, we plan on incorporating Katie way more into this. So God knows how that's going to have to like beg her because I am much more willing to accommodate. I feel like as weird as it sounds, the OB you would think wouldn't be, but I know that you have like 5 factors pulling you different ways. Whereas I don't know. I just feel like, again, it's such a privilege to get to work with you on this that I like. I'm willing to try to accommodate my schedule always. And the good thing about my job in the future, kind of breaking back into that for 5 seconds, is that we found a way finally that I could protect some time to do things like this, which I think is great. I think speaks to a lifestyle protection that we prioritize, both of us, for our family and for our interests. And we do this because I think that's what I finally, because you and me have talked for a long time about getting into some kind of venture together. And I think I know the moment that you were sold on coming into this. We can talk about the origin story of the Muscles and Malpractice podcast. I remember just throwing texts at you one afternoon on Sunday and then talking to you throughout the week the next week and telling you, I could tell when you were sold on it was when I was kind of talking about like, I don't even care if anyone ever like, I don't care about I do. I want this to be successful. Okay. I don't like I don't want this to be successful. But like I'm just so stoked to do this every week. Like it brings me so much joy and I'm so excited and I'm always like so pumped to do this and I love doing this that like I knew that's when you were like I could see it when you heard me saying that you're like, oh, yeah, dude, I think you should do it. And I am willing to spend my time in your idea and your world trying to make this happen with you because that's what keeps people motivated, man. Like if you don't, it's just like we've already talked about, like with people in medicine or like what you do for a living and why you do it. It's like, cause you love what you do. And if you don't love what you do, it's never going to be successful anyway. Like those people are not going to be the ones that have something that people want to listen to and want to be a part of.
Yeah, there's no point in doing it. There really is no
Right.
point. Yeah, I do remember that conversation. Also, too, when you added, "Hey, man, I'll pay you 55,000
I
a
told,
year
I
to do
told you,
this," and
I told you this
I
is
was wondering,
50-50, man.
just I'm not getting paid 55,000. Nothing.
No, neither of us are making a dime off of
There's not
this.
any dimes. But I
Dude,
think also too, it's good. It's good. I think for me, and you can chime in on this with it, but for me, it's almost like we get to journal together. Like we get to kind of like, if we both had a diary and we were writing each other notes like pen pals, I think we get to do it in a way where I don't play video games, but I think if I did play video games, I would probably play with you, and
yeah.
this is how we would do it. But I don't know how to play a video game,
Well,
so
right.
this is the closest thing to it, I guess you could say.
I don't know if this has ever happened in your life, and I feel like you have even brought this up to me before. I do think it has some element of that. People like vlog or whatever, and I really understood vlogging, but like I feel like this is our personal vlog to the world.
Hmm.
What really started to spark this was the idea that I was moving out from where we know each other from in Abilene, Texas, and I'm moving kind of more to the DFW Metroplex area, and I didn't want to lose that connection with you. And I felt like it was a way for us to kind of keep up and like share our interests and share them with the world and keep kind of like you said, like almost a video log of like what's going on in the world, what our thoughts are with each other. And we already see each other we used to see each other almost like 5 to 6 times a week. Now we still minimum see each other 3 times a week just through working out together.
Yeah.
And we have always, and I'm not saying this like that's the funny thing is like I've had a few times in my life where I'll be like sitting in a bar with like a co-resident when I was in LA and stuff, and like a bartender would come up to me and a co-resident and be like, "You guys should like, are y'all on a show together? Like, it's just so interesting hearing you talk." And like that happened though more with you and me in the gym than it ever happened with me and anyone else in my life. And so I was like, there was something. You remember this? I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
used to happen a lot more when the gym used to be a lot more popular, but we would have people constantly like either laughing about what we were saying or like coming up and just being like, I heard y'all talking, that's hilarious. Or like, man, y'all should really like find a way to put this out there. And so, and like we've even had friends talk about that too. It's just like, that people, I'm not trying to toot my own horn on this or
Toot
anything like
toot.
toot toot. I do think like, and I told you like today, I think it was, I've been listening to our podcast. And instead of being, like, embarrassed, like, I feel like a lot of people would listening to themselves or, like, I might have in the past, like, I actually kind of enjoy listening to us, and it has this really kinda cool rhythm and rat-a-tat, and, like, there's not no rat, no tat kinda
Rat-a-tat,
thing, you know?
rat-a-tat-tat-tat.
Nah, dude, that's Michael Scott, bro. There's rat, no tat, bro. But, like, it's cool. Like,
Yeah.
I just love it. I don't know why we're almost 10 minutes into this thing, and all we're doing is talking about why we like doing it.
No, no, this is good. I think this is good. It gives everybody a little bit more depth into why we started this, why we wanted to do this. I
Yeah.
think it is important because people, when you listen to yourself, you kind of have that like embarrassment of like, that's what I sound like, or that's
Right.
what, and that's whenever I started first podcasting with my fitness podcast, I literally talked to myself. So, actually having someone to talk to and someone you enjoy talking to, and I think to go back to what you're saying, I think our banter is pretty good. Like people really, they really like what we can get pretty. I guess you could say off a little off color at times, but
Yes, for
but it's
sure.
good. But I do say you're probably my only friend in my life that I can go back and forth with and will understand every movie reference that I will ever make. And
Yeah.
it because I'll sometimes say something like even like we were talking about Office Space and Nain Nanajad. No, yeah,
Hector Naigan
not
not
gonna
gonna
work
work
here anymore.
here.
But it's stuff
Yeah,
like
that's
that
good.
because if I said that to anybody else, they'd go, huh, "What do you never seen that movie?" And I
Yeah.
think that's where it does help to have someone like that. And like you're saying, that's us, that's you, that's me.
Yeah. No, it like, that is kind of the funny thing too, is I feel like, again, what I think one of my biggest worries about starting this whole thing with you was like, you know, what are people going to think about? What if they don't understand this? What if when my patients are listening, it's not medical? And like today, I have some fun stuff to talk about with like the future of football in 100 years, right? And I want to hear your thoughts. And I don't know that anyone necessarily wants to hear my thoughts on where the NFL and football is in 100 years as like a board certified OBGYN. But I also don't think people don't not want to hear some random kind of just conversational stuff and hear two guys talking about that. and everything might not be for everyone. And you don't have to engage in something for an hour. That's just not the way the world works anymore. Like there's parts of episodes of shows that I love where I tune out, right? Because I'm like, that's not really that interesting to me. I don't know. So like I think one of the things a lot of us, and I'm going to give a little like life advice right now because I feel like that's one of the things I had to get more comfortable with in life. And I think you actually were one of the first people that I met when I got here as a
Mm.
30-year-old new grad. You were so unapologetically like not interested in coddling people's feelings, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like, and so I was a people
You're kind
pleaser.
of a jerk. That's what, you're
Well, like, you would just tell people like, "No, I'm not your friend. I'm your work colleague." Like, you know what I remember you used to tell Victor Rocha that shit all the time. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be like full name dropping, but I know
Hey,
Victor
Victor,
wouldn't
if you're
care.
listening to this, sorry, buddy, I didn't mean to.
Hey man, we gotta link him on this episode, dude. We got to. Um, but like he's an old buddy of ours, and like I just remember he pined for you to call him a friend, and y'all hung out regular, like some, and you just wouldn't give him that. And like not in a bad way, like it just to me what I've had to learn over many is a weird concept, and I think a lot of healthcare people do suffer from this problem is and a lot of people in general suffer from it is being too concerned with being courteous. Like if you were raised right by good parents and stuff, and I'm not saying you weren't because I met your parents and they're amazing people. It's just it somehow happens. I feel like a lot more commonly in good families, almost that these kids grow up and you grow up in a young adult and you're too considerate, almost of everyone else around you, that you've forgotten to actually prioritize yourself. Forgotten to say, I need no, I'm not going to be available on Saturday. I'm going to be with my family.
Yes.
Or like, no, I'm not going to go to that event because I don't want to. I'm not going to make an excuse for it. I'm not going to say, oh, I have plans. I'm just not going to go. And, and that's okay. And the sooner people get more comfortable with that kind of concept in life, I feel like you're so much happier. I don't know. I don't know
No,
where I was going with this
you're on
totally,
it. No,
but
no, I
like,
think you're just saying how much I'm a jerk to people, but no, no, it's true because even as I've gotten older, even as I've gotten older too, I think I had a lot of it early on, but like in my teens, I definitely when I first started training, I wanted to please everybody. Like I wanted to help them and do everything I could. If someone wasn't getting to their goals or wasn't doing anything, then I would take it home with me. Like I would leave it would stick with me. And then I started, getting a little older and I realized, you know what? People sometimes they have to take the accountability to for themselves. I
yeah,
can't do it for them. So then I
right.
started saying, you know what? People just ultimately sometimes just suck.
Yeah,
And that's okay.
yeah.
Now, with Victor or with people, I do say I do say no a lot to a lot of things
You
because
too.
I do say no, and you know that. I'd very rarely tell you no, but you know how to get
Yeah,
around that.
yeah.
But I know that no because my energy, I'm an
Precious,
energy
man.
I love it. I got to keep my energy because I'm not going to
Mhm.
give it to you. And I think people respect that out of, they're like, well, Andrew, he's not coming, he's not doing it. And I'm okay with living with no because I think that is something that people don't really do. They don't say no to people, and I do all the time.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, like, I think it's just a part of society too because, like, what I'm saying is it's on you to say no, but then I understand why people are so averse to doing it because people get very incensed almost and upset when you do say no.
Oh yeah.
And I find that to be like probably one of the most problematic cycles of this is that the reason so many people become people pleasers is because so many people perpetuate this idea that you should be expected to do these things. And like, I got to tell you, like in today's modern age, like just think about like what we're doing now. Like think about the fact that there's a doctor sitting on a podcast with a personal trainer talking about these kind of things. And that's just one more little element of something competing for your attention in this world where literally everything is at your fingertips 24/7. And where we used to, like, 50 years ago, you had to phone someone up on a landline to even talk with them. Like, it's a different world, and so the expectations that commitments and your attention should have the same requirements on it just are not there. I mean, our kids are growing up on screens at age, I mean, I swear Sam, like, knows to, like, mess with a phone from, like, 8 months on. Like, it's been insane to watch that, and what some of these shows like Coco Melon, and there's studies on these things about how psychologically deep they get into programming and grabbing attention on these very, very deep levels of our psyche. And I don't mean to get this deep with this, but like, it's just your attention, your energy are so precious. I mean, I feel like I'm old in the sense that I know that, and I was lucky to never have to worry about money the way some people would have to worry about it growing up. And I just think time and your energy and your attention are so much more valuable than money. $1 billion is not going to buy you one extra hour of life almost. Like, I mean, maybe it could. That's a hard argument to make because now you say, okay, what about chemotherapy if you had cancer, whatever. But it's just it's not worth it. Somebody who has $10 billion would spend $1 billion to have an extra day of life. Like, I just know that we all have a lot of concerns about things like money and all these other things that we think are going to make us happy, or how we make people happy to kind of satisfy our own people pleasing desires. And it's just not worth it. Actually, ultimately end up fundamentally happier even when you let somebody down, if it's selfishly to protect your own interests. If you are not somebody who likes going out and socializing, and the best thing that you can make you happy is sitting at home with a good book, old Phyllis Vance idea of curling up with a good book by the fire when it's raining
Mhm.
outside.
Mhm.
Or you're like me, where like I need a good socialization once every, I don't know, my wife may think I'm lying here or something. It might be like every month or two, really, truly, like to get out like on a Friday night. I don't even know if it's that often. Like, I really like the kind of Friday afternoon, let's go do happy hour, have a few drinks, and then I go home and sleep well into Saturday morning. That may need to happen once every month or two at most. At most.
Yeah, so that's like your
Otherwise, I
bucket,
want to
that
sit at
little
home and
bucket.
play video games and hang out with my kid and hang out with my wife. That's it. Like, my job and my family define my life. My friends are very important. They define my life too. It's almost a second element of family to me. But again, those two things, you just like the priorities, right? Priorities.
Oh, for
Like,
sure, yeah. Priorities are everything. They're everything and anything.
and I gotta tell you too, like, what's funny is when I say my job defines me, I almost think like I should almost, I hate to take the high road on people here, because my job, like we've talked about before, like, I feel like it is a higher calling. I feel like if I was an investment banker, I wouldn't be saying my job defines me. And I hope it wouldn't. And what I mean by that is that I just hope people know that, and something I'm going to get into a little bit, and we probably do need to start talking a little bit about the one topic I want to kind of like just get into healthcare related today, is that your employer will never care like one bit about the extra effort you put into their company beyond the salary you're paid. And if you're not doing these things to, dress for the job you want or whatever, you're trying to do something to earn a different place in that company. Yeah, these ideas of your company and you doing the right thing by your company, oh man, that's the most subliminal toxic messaging stuff that's out there. If I could wake people up, wake young minds up to the idea that your employer gives jack about you. It is not about like, it is about what you deliver to them. So that is exactly the way you should treat your employer, what they deliver to you. Know your value, know what you're giving to your company and your employer, and really truly give them nothing extra. Nothing. Without compensation. There is no reason for you to feel like you owe your job one extra thing beyond what you are paid to do for that job. And there is so much like new age kind of business books and self-help books built around this principle. Like, look, as crazy as Elon Musk has become, he has some great like quote kind of ideas about don't show up to meetings if no one would know you were there or not. Right? And that kind of bears down the principle. The guy's got some crazy ideas now for sure. I'm not going to get into Elon Musk as a current topic of conversation, but he had some really good quotes about what you're supposed to do in terms of when you should show up to meetings, when you shouldn't, what your time is worth to a company. I mean, it just, I
Time,
hope
man.
people know that.
It's
I hope
time.
people
I
know
mean,
that.
time is very valuable to me.
Yes.
It's very valuable, and, I'm not gonna be around anything that's gonna suck the life out of me, and I
Hmm.
think that's something too that people really like you're touching on is you work your butt off, and then sometimes you just have to they don't care,
They don't.
they don't care about you. They you may have a good manager or a buddy or a friend that you work with that
Yep.
may care about you. They do,
Yep.
which I'm sure they do. But ultimately, the company, we all, I believe, are replaceable. I don't
Yeah.
think, I don't.
They definitely believe you're a.
Yeah, that's what they think. You may bring something that another company may need or want
Hmm.
or desire. And I think that's good to have options that are really, really open. I think, you've touched on that with what you're doing a little bit. I really admire that you are moving, you're
Hmm.
doing it. You're doing that. And I think that's cool. I think for me, it's you kind of get in a spot where I think touching on like not caring and really when it comes to saying no is you get to a point where you go, man, I really like this is what I do and I'm cool with it and I'm not gonna do anymore. I'm just gonna do what I'm doing and then I'm going home and giving all my energy there. Or I'm gonna
Right.
go to my friends or I'm gonna that those
Yeah. I mean,
relationships are what
if
matter.
you hit a status quo, and I feel like that's where you're kind of living right now. That's what you're saying, kind of like, this is for me as Andrew Bustos, this is where I'm happy. And you do kind of have that. I've noticed that is like your employer is very happy with what you provide to that employment relationship. And they are very happy with the compensation they provide you and the job performance you're giving them back. And there is no gerbil wheel or something saying you need to do more or we're going to cut more people and we're going to ask more of you. And even when that has been done, it feels like when I've seen you at your job, there is still, it's only temporary. There's almost like an implied understanding that, like, okay, we know we're asking a little bit more of you, but we're going to help you find that person to replace where we've lost somebody here. Like, and so you have a very good status quo, a like nice equilibrium, a
Mm.
living happiness and yin and yang to you and your employer, where like, just don't disturb the still pond here, right? Like, everything is good. I give you what you need, you take what you want, you give me what I need, and then I go live my life. This is a transaction thing. I still enjoy this too. I know I've got a good thing here. You've got a good thing with me. And usually, I gotta say, most of the time, I think when that's happening is when, an employer is still getting the better of the person. To be
Yo,
quite
yeah.
honest,
Yeah.
they're still getting the better end of the deal, but the person is at least happy enough with what the expectations of them are. Like you, I know you feel like there's probably ways you could be compensated more, but they also leave you alone, right? They kind of like, they're not going like, we want you coming in on Saturday. Like they're happy to give you your time and set those boundaries, and that's what you need out of your job. And like,
Right.
that I've always, like, you've always kind of hinted at that to me, and that is a jealousy of your job that not a lot of doctors do enjoy, that you have with yours, where you're kind of like, dude, I get to like kind of say I'm done and I don't have to worry about shit. And you literally, like, I always joke with patients, I'm like, you're one of, I mean, like, they all do, like, patients living in my head rent free is the joke, right? Like, you don't get to like turn it off in my world, which sucks.
I turn it off, dude. I
Yeah,
turn
I
it off.
know.
You don't. And
And it
I think
like,
you can't. You
you
can't.
try your best and it's still a issue. It is an issue. Okay, so let's get it like halfway through this thing. Let's get into the topic. I was inspired, so I am not going to steal a topic without mentioning the inspiration for it. And I got to say, it actually is an inspiration of an inspiration. So there was a video earlier this week, and I don't know what medium it started on, but it was a woman basically who went viral for getting very upset. I think it was on TikTok about her doctor running so late to an appointment, like agreed, like pretty freaking late. I don't know what the actual timeline was, but apparently it was late. It was definitely no like minute late thing. And both the video and the comments went a little bit very askew towards okay, kind of just railing the doctor, like saying like, why do doctors get to show up so late to their appointment? Blah 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 blah. Dang doctors! And there was a really good response video from a guy that's pretty popular among healthcare providers, and I'm gonna plug him because, like, again, I don't know a lot of healthcare people that don't know about this guy, but then I don't know a lot of people outside of healthcare who do. I think he's one of these like TikToker influencer types that are only popular in the medical community. So again, I just want to plug him. His name is Dr. Glaucomflecken, which is it's a medical acronym for something related. He's an ophthalmologist and he does a lot of TikTok stuff. That is not his actual name, but his like username in TikTok and like on all the social media stuff is Dr. Glaucomflecken. And he did this response video that I thought was really great. Kind of going through the idea of why we shouldn't be upset at that. And I think it really helps cast a light on sometimes the disparity between perception on patient's side about things in healthcare versus what I even told a patient today was a sneak peek behind the curtain, right? This idea of like trying to make people understand that you may see the physician and that's the person you want to blame because they're the one that's late, right? But they're the last person in the world you should be blaming because they are late.
Mm,
And so,
mhm.
okay, hold on. You're already going, so like let's hear your thoughts on this.
No, no, no.
Before I start to explain all the reasons why
Yeah, you
you
you're about to go in defense mode. Let me tell you,
dude,
reason 1, reason
I'm
2.
gonna give you a million
Here we
reasons.
go. Reason 3, I
I'm
had to
gonna get
drink
into
my
the
Diet
medical
Dr. Pepper.
industrial complex.
Yeah, medical industrial. So I'm gonna give you the civilian, okay,
Mhm.
aspect, of this. So I've been to a few doctors in my
Yeah,
time.
a
I'm gonna
few
give you
doctors.
I'm gonna give you an example.
Okay.
So I get a new doctor. I'm not gonna name the doctor,
Friggin' doctor.
but I show up to the doctor, just a general doctor. Okay, and I show up and I'm getting my annual whatever,
Yeah.
whatever y'all call them. So I walk in already. Let me just tell you, doctor, that we're
Your
nervous.
semi-monthly prostate exam,
Yeah,
is that what
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna come see you, doctor. So I'm walking in, and already the nurses are like, what do you need? Like, what are you doing here?" "Well, I have an appointment." Right. First off, I understand you guys deal with a lot of people. I get it, but I'm smiling. I'm Mr. Smiley. Okay.
Okay. We like those
"What are
patients.
you doing here?" Okay, so I walk in, they take me to the room.
What are
The
you
MA.
doing?
Yeah, what is the issue? "Well, I'm doing my annual physical because you guys tell us to do these things, but what are we doing here?" So I walk in, they sit me down, the MA, I guess, medical assistant sits me
Uh-huh,
down,
uh-huh.
and then they do what they do, and I'm like, "Cool." So then the doctor finally shows up, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" Like, she's like, what do you want? What do you need?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm doing my annual physical, I guess, or
Uh-huh.
something." She's like, "Well, there's nothing wrong with you." I'm like, "Well, cool. I mean, that's cool. I just trying to, I get it. I get I'm in shape, but it's funny how I feel this isn't the first time, but they treat people that are in shape like worse than those who are not. But I understand. And here's my grace that, most people that go to the doctor are usually sick, right? Or they
Mhm.
usually have a problem, which I don't have a problem. So what we do is what I think I'm like, "Hey man, maybe I just cost her money or something happened or what, I
Hmm.
don't know." So I try to like think maybe I should make something up. Like I have this like itch around my
No, you fucking don't. Dude, this is all bullshit. I do not believe that you like go in there, they're so upset that you have an
they're
annual,
so mad,
and then
so
you're like,
angry.
oh, fuck it. I'm sorry, but I'll make up some shit.
Yeah, no, there's no, because so before you go into like your reasoning, I know you're going to defend all your situations, but what we think, and maybe we'll do this later, but what you think is, I'm always like, whenever I tore my Achilles,
Hmm.
and I went and got got afterwards. So you have to
Mm,
remember, like, tearing something or doing something after, and you show up like we're on our lowest of low, or some whatever problem you're trying to fix. Let's just say
yeah.
there's something. So you're waiting in a room until finally it's like what, 30 minutes later.
Yeah.
Plus you hear the doctors outside the little, they're like
That's gonna be me. That's gonna be me. I swear to God, I had a patient today literally open the door and go, I was just wondering who was talking out here.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah.
And I'm
and then
sitting
and
there
then you hear the
talking.
rattle, like you see, because maybe you've never been a patient before, but you hear the rattle like on
Of
the,
the
I'm
the
talking about,
door
yeah.
basket.
What do you
I
guys do?
know,
You guys are
dude.
like blah, 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 blah. You're like blah, 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 let's move this, so you
Yeah.
come in and then you're like, dang, dude, I've been waiting for like 30 minutes. I guess I don't have a job to get back to, or I don't have anything to do. I guess I don't.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, see, I hope everyone's listening to this right now, because I'm sure they're like, exactly, Andrew. Tell him,
Exactly.
Andrew. Tell him. So, it's just so before you come up with here's the factual reasons of reasoning,
All right.
and you tell me why I'm wrong
I
or
mean,
right.
I'm loaded, dude. You know I'm an OB. Like, if this guy was an ophthalmologist and gave examples from his world that actually defended him, I'm about to give you so
Okay, let's
much.
hear. I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Let's go.
Okay, dude. I mean, come on though. Like, first off, my life is chaos. Like, so let's already start with the general idea that my life, despite the best laid plans, can get nuked on any given day. I can have 4 patients show up in labor, and I'll have a 20 patient clinic that never assumed those 4 people were coming in labor. That's insane. That's not what most OBs do. Again, because we have to carefully try to curate a census per month of deliveries to say, okay, we're going to have 20 people due in October, 20 people due in September, so that our numbers don't get so overwhelming that we can't even see the people in clinic. Are you ready for like step one?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Give me,
again,
give me,
I
give me.
think, look, I hit my mic. So I think though, honestly, what you're saying is that is another really good topic. So I want to touch back on that. I think that's next week's semantic. I think we do another semantic talk on what you're mentioning, which is this idea of wellness versus problem-based visits and how problematic that is for the healthcare system, because that's a huge thing in women's care. You're like a freaking unicorn being a 39-year-old male, 40-year-old male, 40-year-old now? Okay, 40-year-old male showing up for annual. Like, that's why they're going like, what the hell's the matter with this guy? Because like no man shows up for annual no problem visits.
That's no.
Like,
Unicorns need to be seen too. Okay.
and look, I'm not saying I shouldn't show up for those. I don't. I just find like again, doctors are some of the worst patients. They are some of the worst at taking care of themselves.
And if
I
you
try to
do
take care of
show up,
myself in the best way I
I'm gonna
do.
tell your doctor. If you do show up, I'm gonna tell him to keep you waiting. I'm gonna say, hey,
Dude,
whoever
they
your
do.
doctor is,
Well, actually, they don't. I
and then
mean,
I want you to
okay.
rattle that
So
thing,
I
rattle it,
am gonna
rattle the
tell
keys.
you. Look, that is truth every field in the world. So I am gonna give you. I will start with something that I want to actually readily admit to, that I think my dad always used to like harp on me to me like, you guys, y'all help each other, blah blah. Yes, of course we do. Of course, when I go to the doctor, when I see the few people I do see as a patient, I can tell I get a little bit different treatment in terms of how quickly I get in. Do I get kind of like I could go in the same day if I need to? Can I kind of like talk to them on their cell phone here and there if I needed to? Yes, it's a professional courtesy. I mean, I'm sorry, like, and that really does extend down the level of even nursing. Like, when we have nurse patients, we tend to kind of go a little bit above and beyond. These are people that, in my little menstruation video last week where I got very emotional about things,
Wah.
I mentioned that these are the people on the front line with us. So nurses again to me are like frontline warriors, right alongside providers, right alongside NPs, PAs, myself. doctors, we tend to try to help each other out because we know the demands of our job and the demands a lot of other patients will put on us. It's also how we're the most understanding too when stuff goes like, you can't see me today, can you just call this in, and like, are you cool with that, like, do you feel like this is what's going on with you? And it's like, it's just a different level of understanding and mutual respect and just a camaraderie thing. So yes, I am not going to deny doctors and nurses and healthcare people do tend to get a little bit of a different tier of treatment. Like, it's not meant to say that, other patients are not getting our full and undivided attention. It's just a little different sometimes in terms of how that relationship can be a little less formal. Like, you can do things a little differently with those types of patients and how you get treated sometimes as the patient. I mean, I think the same thing exists in every field, So like, I don't want to try to excuse this for too long. I'm just saying, like, it happens. Like, it's like, I just think like a cop pulls over another cop and they're speeding and they say, "Hey man, like, I'm a cop." Like, as long as it's nothing egregious, they're probably gonna let that guy go. Like, let's be honest. Like, it's just the way the world kind of works. Is there's this kind of co-mutual respect and trench line idea of like, when you're with those people in that field, you kind of get a little bit of a benefit. It's the one benefit of whatever you do for what you do, right? Teachers, teachers and their kids being in school places. Like, I feel like that there's benefits that I don't really understand that I've always seen that kind of have some kind of effect on too, right? So, okay. Anyways,
So as you're going off on this one, Mr. Special Treatment,
no,
let's go
so,
ahead and
so
let's
I'm stopping
hear
with
what
it.
you're saying.
Look, I only say this because the same thing I tell my patients is, I'm never gonna lie. Like, I want to be objective. I'm not, man, not about stuff like this.
When doctors get pulled over by police officers, what happens? Next week on
Dude, you know what? We need to have one of my buddies on this podcast. That could actually be one of my early guests, is we can get a good state trooper buddy of mine on and we can talk about that, because he does tell me, I've done some ride-alongs with him, and it would be interesting to get his takes. I don't think we should do that next week. I think that should come in the near future. I think it's a very interesting topic because he has some opinions on that I was shocked by. I mean, I have seen multiple different ways. That's a great topic. I have seen don't make fun of my
we got
hands.
we got 2 topics now.
We do.
You
We
better
have
write are you writing
semantics
these
of
down? You
wellness
write this
versus
down.
problem visits, and we have law enforcement and healthcare,
We
and when
got
you
it.
get pulled over. And that's really actually a pretty good one, and we definitely should pull in my buddy for
I've
that
already
one.
come up with 2 topics. I'm done.
Yeah.
So for the rest of the
Okay.
year.
So, well, let me finish this topic. Okay. So I already gave you the one concession. Now, what I want people to understand though is going into the real things of why your doctor is late. And what this other influencer, this guy talks about, Dr. Glaucomflecken, is going, okay, well, to start with, my day doesn't start accounting for the idea that I may have a labor come in. When I schedule my 9 to 11:30 patient slots and my 1 to 5 o'clock patient slots, I didn't know Miss Jones would show up in labor with her twins, who she now also wants to discuss the idea of a vaginal delivery, when she had for her entire pregnancy said she wanted a C-section, now wants a vaginal delivery and is in labor, ruptured over on L&D. So that not only is also a delivery, that is something where the labor and delivery unit is going to be calling me and saying, we need you to come over and counsel and educate the patient and talk about risk and benefits and see if this is now safe for her to do. So that becomes an unbilled, like a 30-minute dedication of my time just to go over and do the right thing and do the right thing by the patient and do the counseling and education I need to even begin that discussion. Okay, say she decides she wants a C-section. That wasn't scheduled for that day. Now I have to figure out, in between the probable scheduled noon, 7:30, and 5 o'clock C-section, when I'm going to put this in the middle of my day and either pull my nurse practitioner who's also seeing patients in clinic with me away from clinic, or whether I'm going to try to do this alone with a laborist, with another OB who's got their own clinic going on. Maybe I'm pulled to one of theirs while I have my own clinic, and then rearrange and reshuffle these patients that have already been scheduled for that day to do that. And then I have to decide whether I can still, or Capri, my nurse practitioner could see them, or whether we're going to move those patients or whether they're just going to need to wait. And a lot of times, what we even do is give them the option. And this goes down to the final point when we get to all this at the end, which is that communication is key. Okay. So, next thing, that can delay things, right? So that already let's say that starts the morning. Now I'm 30 minutes behind. She's decided she wants to do a vaginal delivery, so I don't have to schedule this C-section. She's 3 centimeters. Okay. First patient of the morning that I'm now 30 minutes late in to see. Oh, I did a colpo in the office. So that's after an abnormal pap smear. Turns out the colpo, this is a biopsy of the cervix, comes back saying that this person has early cervical cancer. Do you think that that visit that was supposed to be a biopsy discussion of results that was going to be potentially a 15-minute, well, hey, everything's okay and we'll manage this with either a very easy excisional surgery or you're good, we'll recheck your pap smear, versus now you have cervical cancer is going to actually take 15 minutes? Do you want to be told in 15 minutes you have cervical cancer and have a nice day? You don't. It's not the way I want to treat any patient. It's not the way I'd want my family to be treated. So what ends up happening now? Now I've got a 15-minute slotted window, if that, to now discuss something that probably usually takes 30 minutes, a box of Kleenex, and arranging this patient to go see a GYN oncologist and trying to educate them about what their life expectancy may look like after potentially whether they even have an operable cervical cancer or not, right? And so then you start getting into, so now I backed up my morning even further just with the first patient that I've now seen late, 30 minutes late. That took 45 minutes. So now I've got 2 or 3 people at least waiting, if not more. Capri is probably trying to see 1 or 2 of these people just to keep up too, if she's not gotten behind somehow. And then what if one of these re-OBs that half the time ends up getting double booked, right? So when we have these simple OB appointments, especially like the every 2-weekers when they're kind of routine, checking blood pressure, checking your baby's heart tone, nothing else. What if they show up all of a sudden and their blood pressure's 60 over 110 and they have a headache now and they're 32 weeks, which we're not expecting at all. But guess what that needs? That needs to get sent to the hospital potentially. You might need to go to labor and delivery. And you don't just send that person to labor and delivery and say, best of luck to you over there. You have to suddenly educate this patient that, hey, you have severe preeclampsia. Then you have to call labor and delivery, communicate to them, hey, this patient has these things going on. I'm sending them over. This is what's going to happen with them. I need you to let me know when things are okay with them or not. And then now all of a sudden, this patient who was an every 2-weeker at 32 weeks now becomes an every 1-weeker because now they have hypertensive disease that you're having to monitor with weekly labs and weekly blood pressure measurements and other things to make sure they're safe. How are you going to book that person when you didn't account for that person being an every 1-weeker? Now they're double booked on somebody the following week. So now you've already set up your next week to already start with a problem just to begin with because you have too many patients booked on that day. So, like, I could keep
You,
going.
to me, it just sounds like a bunch of excuses. That's what it
Oh
sounds like.
my
Oh
God, bro.
gosh.
Okay,
I'm just teasing.
bro.
Okay, before you go on, have you seen what it reminded me of too was, have you seen on TikTok or Instagram, there's a guy, he's a comedian, but he's making fun of like the guys that have like these fitness influencers that have they're like, get ready with me. And it's like 4 a.m. and then at 4 a.m. he gets up and then it's like 4:01. He's like doing the whole like ice bath or
Are you
ice
talking
face
about the
bath.
Saratoga water guy, dude?
No,
You're
I'm
talking
talking.
about Saratoga water guy.
No, but this guy's making fun of. I think he's making fun of this guy.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
it's like 4:05, and he's like
Yeah,
in
and he's
another
eating a
country.
banana, and then he like smears the banana on his face and shit, dude. Yes, it's that influencer dude who's like really ripped and he
Yeah, so
runs
they're
by the
making so they're
yes.
making fun of like that type of influencer as
Yeah.
well as the fitness ones are like, "Get ready with me today," and then, like, at
Yeah.
5 o'clock, he's, like, in a different country, but by the time it's already, like, 11 a.m. It's only, like, 11 a.m., but he's done, like, 4 continents. He's, like, worked out 6 times. He's, like, done an ice
Yeah.
bath, but it's
Yeah.
but it's just going
No,
minute
dude, they
by minute.
wake up at like 4 a.m. in those videos. I'm like, yeah, right, dude.
I just
First off,
love
you
how
couldn't even be ripped like that if you're not sleeping good. You and me both know the importance of sleep. So I'm not
sleep is
even gonna
pretty
get into
important.
that one
Alright,
yet.
you keep going, I'm sorry.
Okay. And so look, and this guy, again, to his credit, I love this Dr. Glaucon Flecken video because he really does hit it all. Like, I haven't even, I'm just telling you the logistical obstacles that come up with a doctor trying to do the right things medically. What if someone vasovagals in their colpo when they're getting that done in the procedure room? I haven't mentioned the fact that logistically, a lot of places like my clinic right now and the clinic I'm going to join in Weatherford, they have one room that is a procedure room. I have 5 rooms total, 2 that go to my nurse practitioner, 2 to me, and we have a procedure room. What if a procedure that my nurse practitioner was doing took long and my scheduler booked 2 people to use the procedure room after her, and we have rooms available, but we don't have the procedure room available, right? Like Dr. Glaucomfecken kind of brought up this idea too. Like, what if someone throws up in a room? Then you got to basically have somebody clean that room up, so you can't use the room until that room is cleaned up properly. What if one of my two freaking clinical staff, my nurse and my MA, what if one of them's sick? What if one of their babies is sick and they have to call out for the day? Now I have half the ability to room patients effectively as I want to see them even. So even if I was running on time, if I was there in clinic, there is no way to get them roomed with one person able to do everything now that 2 people normally would. And this goes to one of my main gripes with society, with corporate perspective on what is going on in America, let alone healthcare. But it is this analogy of if it took 6 men to row the boat and suddenly 2 got thrown overboard and 4 are somehow doing it for any length of time, the thought is now it's a 4-man job. It's not a 6-man job anymore. You 4 showed you could somehow do the job of 6. This isn't a 6-man job, it's a 4-man job. And this goes into the biggest point of it all is that physician reimbursement and physician reimbursement has gone down every year from Medicare, from Medicaid. The way revenue is done is that basically every time a physician sees a patient, they are getting reimbursed less and less every year. And the majority of our healthcare system, forget day-to-day issues of what I've already mentioned, the biggest things that are driving American healthcare, which by the way, GDP, like healthcare is America's biggest freaking product. Look it up at some point. It's crazy how much money we invest and produce in healthcare, but it is driven by private equity firms and hospital organizations, right? So companies looking to profit off of patients. And the only 2 ways that you profit, go to Econ 101. You either cut cost or you increase revenue, right? How do you cut cost? You give physicians less overhead. You give them less staff. You tell them to like basically do more with less. If they have broken medical equipment, you try to figure out ways to fix it as opposed to replace it when it probably needs replacing. You have all these kind of ways where you're going to make them do something with less, right? And the most common way nowadays in healthcare is less staff to do the same amount of work, if not more. And that goes into the next thing, which is continually asking physicians to see more and more and more patients. And it is not up to physicians that this is too many people to see. It is, this is your schedule. These are how many people we expect you to see. If you don't see this many people, You're going to get into meetings and we're going to make you feel like your job may be on the line because your job metrics don't meet what we expect out of you. Right. And then also they'll do a bunch of freaking patient quality metrics where like one person is upset that you showed up late to your freaking appointment with them and don't understand these things. And then you're hearing about it from corporate about why you're not caring about patient care. And it's what drives physicians, providers, mid levels absolutely bonkers because the people that care about patients in healthcare are the ones that most routinely get the raw end of the deal from patients and get blamed by patients. I don't want to say rightly so, but like it's who patients see. Like if I show up 30 minutes late to an appointment, they're not going to blame the CEO of the hospital. Unfortunately, it has more to do sometimes. Like it is not your physician's fault. They're usually showing up 30 minutes late. We don't want to do that. Just like you said, somebody's got a job. I hate walking into rooms late. I got to tell you, like, is a 10 to 15-minute late thing probably more on me than on the system? I'll say that yes. For me, especially, yes. Like, I can be a little bit behind on stuff where, like, if I wasn't happy and enjoyed what I did and conversed with my staff and like just went straight into rooms, yes. But I think my patients enjoy me being happy and being able to converse with them as well. But when I'm 45 minutes late to an hour behind, that ain't me anymore. And that is what sucks is because we're not holding healthcare organizational issues and the way we prioritize medicine as America more accountable, and yet we hold the physicians who are the last people in the world that want to make patients unhappy in that way. Like it's just not something we're not sitting there laughing about why we're not walking into your room on time. Like there's nothing more that we would like to do than like I hate walking into a room 45 minutes late and seeing both the patient and their husband there for an OB appointment. And I'm like, now I screwed up two people's schedule for the day. I know it. It's not fun. The one thing he does talk about too, this influencer though, that I agree with 100%, and I is a good sign to me of patients that are understanding and get it is that I usually, whether it's my fault or not, I still take accountability for it. I want that communicated to them when I'm gonna be behind if we can at all account for that, and I apologize. It's usually not my freaking fault. But I'm gonna take ownership of that, and I gotta tell you, I think a lot of patients appreciate when we do that, even if it's not our fault. But it's just that one more thing. It's that one more ironic nail in the coffin to a physician too, though, especially not from patients, but again, like I said, this kind of irony of when the bureaucracy of hospitals and healthcare organizations actually have the audacity to come to you and show you patient complaints about your tardiness to their appointment when so much more has to do with the way they want to manage and conduct and prioritize the actual like priorities of the clinic and how we conduct healthcare than we have any control over. Oh, I think Andrew, I was hoping for an Andrew response here, but I think he actually may have lost connection here. But look, I think that's one of the biggest things we have to kind of understand too about this is that ultimately patients and physicians, I just wish patients kind of understood a little bit better that, you know, the healthcare team, nurses, the front office desk, your MAs, your physicians, those are the people that care about you. Generally so, they are doing their best. And I think you have to give a little grace, and a little grace is really appreciated. And if they're not giving that back to you, that's unfortunate because they really should. But they're usually the people out of everybody in the healthcare system that are trying their best and prioritizing you as somebody that they're trying to take their best care of possible. And their attention and their priority is you in the moment that they do see you. And if they're late, it's not because they don't care about you. It's because they have to take care of something else in a priority over you at that moment, but you are their priority the second they walk in the room with you. And not all providers are great about communicating that, but I just wish people understood better that usually it's not the healthcare organization as much as the communication may reflect this somewhat idea that you may think they do. They typically are not the ones that care about you in the same way that a provider does. And that your healthcare team, the people you see day to day, the people in those clinics, what their dedication is to you. Our job is to take care of you. A lot of places, especially at the higher levels of administration and organizational level go, it's a dollars and cents. It's a black and red type of business. And healthcare is a business, like I said, in America. Again, ultimately, I understand that one of the biggest products of the American economy is healthcare. It is one of the largest portions of our GDP. And only if physicians and patients band together a little bit, some of these things might be able to change from a prioritization level on a broader healthcare organizational level. So that was my message on physicians being late to their appointments. I think overall, we might have to just reserve the football stuff till another time because I think Andrew may have lost his internet connection at this point. He's typing to me right now. Yeah, guys. So I think, I think we're at that hour mark. It's a good place to sign off. I think we'll save the football stuff for next time. I think we did a lot more of like a deep dive on like why we do, what we think about keeping your priorities straight on a personal level. And I hope I kind of explained a little bit more about like why your physician or provider may be late to an appointment and why, as long as it's reasonable, try to give them grace, and why that grace is reciprocated. And hopefully your physician and provider communicates that and at least expresses some empathy and apology about doing that, because God only knows I I'm not good about waiting on stuff either, and I get being upset here and there about having to wait on somebody that you have to make time for yourself, and that we have these crazy like kind of you can't be later than this, but then we show up half an hour later on top of that. It's not because we want that, and we understand the irony and hypocrisy of that. It is more because of a lot of the things put on us to try to get the demands met of everything that we have to do to take care of people. And it's not meant to personally slight you or make you feel less than, because God knows every one of our patients is important to us. We're constantly dealing with about 10 things in our head, usually, or that are happening in the moment that we can't we can't even totally tell you about, right? I mean, that's our job, is to actually keep everything private too. So it's a very difficult job sometimes to kind of even express the reasons why we're not giving you the respect and dignity we would like to, ideally. So I just want to say again, the best thing I can ask of all patients out there in this world is, until given further reasoning, please give your providers the benefit of the doubt and understand that most of us do this because we are true believers and because we believe in taking care of people, and that's the reason we went into this field. But anyways, we're going to sign off for the night. I'm going to dominate this whole dang episode, even though I was expecting Andrew to give me a lot more contribution on the back end here. But I'm going to give us our typical sign-off line. Y'all have a great night. And so for the Muscles and Malpractice family, both myself and Mr. Andrew Bustos, and this is Dr. Stuart Martin signing off. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, take care of yourself and your growing family. Have a good night. Bye, guys.